All right, good evening, everybody. It's Brother Beniti and Brother Ravana Noon. We're back again. We'll be discussing this evening the disease of the subjective realm and why it's important for us to discuss this topic this evening. We're going to go over several topics that are connected and related. Please, since this room may fill up before the evening's out, one question at a time. Do not ask us 2, 3, 4 questions. When we go around the room, one question at a time to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. All right, so let us begin. Subjective realm. All right, Beniti, give a breakdown of what the subjective realm is so we have a clearer understanding, please.
Right. And just to give a little what inspired this class, and I'm not going to stay on this long, be real brief. Long story short, a person that we know had sent me an email. This person, just in a nutshell, is a little bit of a space cadet. You know, they got a one-way ticket to Spookyville, and they're not grounded in reality. So what sparked this show is what can happen is there can be a disconnect when everything that you deal with is subjective. Now, the subjective realm, or how that connects to your objective realm, we know this path, what we call left-hand path, path of self-mastery, whatever other terms you want to give it, those are just terms and titles. Your goal as a black adept or a black magician is to take things, tap into the power of your subjective, but manifest it on the objective. And if there's not harmony between the two, and everything that you're dealing with, everything is subjective, or everything is an experience, or everything is I had a dream, or everything is some entity talked to me, et cetera, but that's not transitioning into your everyday life. There's a disconnect, okay? Anybody knows what real black magic is, that's what it is. Now, unfortunately, in these different conscious circles, and we all know, being on this path, there's so much shit out there right now. Unfortunately, what I want to make clear, and what Ravana Noon, what we want to discuss tonight, is what this path is not. What I'm starting to see is this is not a pro-conscious movement. It's not pro-black, pro-Latino, pro-white. What people are starting to do that I'm seeing is they're merging this with a lot of these other previous schools of thought, which is okay, but let's not confuse it for left-hand path to self-mastery. There's the occult. There's people who are occult. They might talk about left-hand path topics, but don't confuse that with left-hand path. So subjective disease in a nutshell is, if you're sitting there telling me that you can levitate, you know, you can travel the multiverses, you could astral travel, you could do all this, and no disrespect, but I got to keep it real, but you're flipping hamburgers at McDonald's and you can't pay your bills, there's a disconnect with that, all right? That's just a reality, and that's a reality check for ourselves. So part of this path is being a critical thinker, and what we do is we process information by being critical thinkers. Does it add up? Does it make sense? Because simply put, we all probably run into people like that tell us about all these great experiences they have. But again, it's not to be judgmental, but it's fact. If I don't see that in your everyday life, if I don't see that reflecting your lifestyle, the way you carry yourself, how you take care of your family, you can't tell me you're a master, a god, or a goddess, but you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your mortgage. That's a reality check. That's a wake-up call. If we all claim that we do shadow work, step one always on this path, before you can get trapped in your subjective, is to do shadow work, get to know yourself, right? Get to know those aspects of yourself, again, not just the ones, you know, that we pat ourselves on the back, not just our skills and our talents. That's great. Those are things we continue to harness as we're on this path. But it takes a real man or a woman to admit the shit that they got wrong and have the ability to address that first, all right? So that's beginning in a nutshell, and I'm sure Ravana Noon is going to want to add something to that, but we're going to go a little further. But that's kind of what we're going to be talking about.
Right. And let me just say this. What's happening is, as well as individuals are always giving you their subjective experience. And when you try to pass that off as supreme knowledge, or this is the way it is, and you co-sign that, there's a situation that occurs with that. For one, you're taking someone's personal experience as the law, or as the truth, or as the only way there is. And then two, you co-sign that, then you're going to try to experience it yourself. And what if you don't accomplish or have some of the same experiences? Then you feel like a failure, and then that veers you off the path, and you may end up backtracking, being disappointed, a lot of different things. When you do that, you're missing the point. The point is, this is about your personal growth, your personal experience, not someone else's. We have a disease right now that's kind of, as Beniti alluded to, infiltrated or kind of started seeping into the left-hand path, where the subjective realm is being passed off as the total truth. And individuals are passing off this as, okay, I'll give you an example. If you travel the astral realm, 9 times out of 10, that is a personal experience. If you choose to share that with other people, fine, but that's still your personal experience. And I can't, or can maybe, but most of the time you cannot verify that as anything other than their personal experience. So why would you then say, oh, this is some deep shit, this is the truth, I got to get with this, and you bypass the foundation of it all? What is the foundation of any working? Is simple steps of how to organize or put your life back together. Take inventory, as Brother Beniti alluded to, take inventory of your issues, problems, trauma, things of that nature, and focus wholeheartedly on that and that alone. Don't look at other people to verify or give validity to your personal experience. Because yes, you may have similar experiences, but yet you're still different at the same time. So if I look to another individual and they're making videos, and I'd be like, okay, well, I want to have that experience too, but you still haven't gotten your shit right, and you're trying to jump into the astral realm, but your personal, your subjective, your inner world is still in turmoil. Why would you try to go and travel the astral realm knowing that you still have buku issues tied up inside you, but yet you want to bypass and jump? These are the individuals that come to you and be like, I want to work with the chakras. Teach me about the crown chakra. And you're like, really? Well, have you dealt with your root chakra? Or are you jumping the gun and you want to be spooky space cadet adventurer of the multiverses and travel everywhere? See, that's when it becomes a problem.
Big
and
time.
the more people start to, seep that crap into left-hand path, they're getting away from what is important. What is important is that you master yourself, you focus on yourself, and you overcome the things that have created habitual behavioral patterns over and over and over that keep putting you back in situations that you should have graduated from by now.
Right. Let's touch on something a little bit more that you told. Let's talk real quick. The astral realm, the subtle body, and the chakras. When we had a conversation about this a couple of days ago. You always hear, remember, the astral realm is only the gateway or the door to many other realms. So this is how I know people don't even work with their astral realm. It's real simple. First of all, if you understand prana, you understand the subtle body, you understand the chakras, you will encounter the real you on the astral realm. That includes all of the aspect of yourself that one might term as being violent, evil, disagreeable, any of these terms that people will use to describe something that the outside person would look as negative. When you work with that realm, I don't ever hear anybody talk about how they never dealt with any challenges or encountered any issues or talked about some of the pain and the hardship they went. This is how I know nobody really for the most part, in general, well, anyway, people that be sending me bullshit-ass emails don't really work with it because everything they do on the Astral Realm, everything is like some fucking comic book or some TV show. And to me, that shit is straight ridiculous, but you didn't encounter no trauma. You didn't encounter things in your past life. Everything was just, you know, peaches and roses. And then the next question I'll ask them, okay, after you got to the gate, you got to look at the astral realm like the Klepothic tree. After you get to the 11th and Lilith guides you through the void and darkness, that's the astral. But that opens the gateway to the many, many multitude of realms. There's no limitation on it. So you got motherfuckers that think the astral realm is the tell-all, be-all, the end-all, be-all, and it's only the doorway. It's only the gateway to the void and the darkness. And the subtle body, chakra work is very important with working with the astral realm, which is very vampiric in nature, but you got to understand how that works. When you're raising kundalini and you're raising the dragon energy, whatever term you want to call it, that always, too, is not a pleasant thing. Everybody always say, I'm working the kundalini. My crown chakra is open. And like Brother Ravana Noon said, but you didn't even focus on your root chakra. What does the root chakra deal with? Being grounded in finances, materialistic things, having a grasp on your mundane life. Meaning being, if you are a family person, male or female, having, you know, your family and all. And let me make this clear. I'm not saying everything is going to be perfect because there's no such thing. But when you are mastering your chaos and making order out of your chaos, you have to have a harmonious, all those components got to come together. Because when you master your PEP or your chaos, you as a black magician or an adept now have the tools and the equipment. You know chaos is going to come again, but now you're prepared to deal with it. So how can you be mastering all these subjective realms when you ain't got your shit together here? It just, there's a disconnect with that. There's no way to validate it. And then this is another thing I hear all the time, kills me. This world's an illusion. Well, if this world's an illusion and you control it, and these are some motherfuckers that are working at McDonald's or on, you know, on welfare or broke as fuck, and it's not to be judgmental. So if this world's an illusion and you control it, you mean you couldn't even create your mundane existence? I know if this world was an illusion like that, like some people teach, I'd have a harem of females, I'd be a billionaire, I'd be living in a mansion. I don't think I would create an illusion in a mundane existence here on the objective where I'd be piss broke, working a miserable ass job. That just doesn't make any sense to me. What it does show to me is there's no harmony between the objective and the subjective. That's confirmation. And that's what we have to focus on. So when you're tapping into the astral realm, it's just like you get a lot of females, they'll send me, yeah, I work with Kali. Every time I work with Kali, anywhere I go, men they're all over me. You don't really work with Kali because Kali is so much more deeper than just sexual energy. If you sit there and tell me, yeah, she turned my life upside down. She made me see things for what they are. I went through then I'll say you're working with Kali. But when you get that fluffy shit on the surface, oh yeah, the sexual energy. So look, let me keep it real with you 100%. Okay? Just like we as men, we ain't slinging it like that. And females, look, every female want to think they got the best pussy. Okay? I'm just going to keep it real with you. That's all a bunch of nonsense. We have to look at this thing. It always starts with self, knowledge of self. But I just wanted to throw that in there because you brought up, the astral, the chakras. So that shit is painful sometimes working with that. It releases and opens you up to a lot of childhood trauma, all that shit. I don't hear nobody talking about that. So nobody experienced any of that. You just raised the dragon in it and you were cool. I don't believe it.
No, they're driving their ships in the astral, brother. That's the problem. They're Captain Kirk in the astral, but they're working at Home Depot for $10 an hour or so, but whatever. But listen, here's the other thing. When you say that this world's an illusion, how much of an illusion is it when you bleed? You bleed if you're cut in this world. You need to breathe to survive in this world.
That's
okay?
Right.
If these things are stopped, then if it's such an illusion, why do they happen? Why is it that you need blood pumping through your veins for you to survive? You need your heart to pump in order to circulate the blood through your body. Why do you need to breathe deeply to circulate the air through your body and oxygenate the blood? It's all part of what it is, integration. You have to learn how to integrate one with the other. It's not one over the other. People will say it's an illusion or this is my dream. I'm living in a dream. Which dream are you living in? Because how do you know that you're not in someone else's dream?
Thank you.
Okay? How do you know that we're all not in someone else's dream?
That's right.
And we still haven't figured this shit out. Go back to the movie The Matrix. Just when they thought they had broke loose and they're in the real world, they found out, shit, we're still caught up in this real world under someone else's rule. You understand? And we still have work to do to even break this cycle of life we're living in. The problem is we keep looking for excuses and say this is illusion or whatever, and there's a reason for that.
That's true.
What I've realized studying and analyzing and observing, which are three key things that you should do as a Black Adept: study, observe, and analyze everything. But most importantly, yourself. Study, observe, and analyze yourself every day. Every part of your existence, everything you believe, everything. Question yourself more than anything else. Mm-hmm. But what I notice is that it's an escape why we say it's an illusion. Because our real world is filled with chaos. It's filled with trauma. It's filled with pain. And we still haven't figured out how to bring that under our control or transmutate it to something that can empower us. So we always will make an excuse for the outer world. We always will make an excuse of this human experience is bullshit. No, it's not. The reason you're still stuck in this human experience because you don't realize you have to master the human experience before you can so-called transform or elevate or travel past the astral realm.
That's right.
Just an example. The fourth plane or the fourth realm is the mental realm. And there's more shit after that.
That's right.
And we're also, the astral realm. I'm so deep because I travel the astral realm. I'm Captain Slim Dick in the astral realm. But in the physical, you ain't shit. And thus, you will make an excuse for your physical existence by what? Downplaying your human existence. So that harmonious integration is missing. Same way that some people are not integrating the masculine and feminine inside of them. And I'm not saying people do not get this mixed up because people get to the extreme with this too. The masculine and feminine is not external. That's so right. I'm not telling you if you master your feminine, you should wear a dress tomorrow. That's not what I'm telling you. Okay? Exactly. What I'm saying is you have to master that within yourself. But here's the trick. In order to master the feminine, if you're a man, that is, to master the feminine, you must first learn to totally master the masculine within yourself first. Then, when you totally understand the masculine, you start to understand the feminine within you more. It will start to make sense more. You will be able to integrate it a lot easier because you've totally understood the masculine. But right now, people are bunnies. They jump around from thing to thing and don't slow their ass down and take any one time to work any one current. 1 week, a person will be vampiric. The next week, they want to be chaotic or chaos magic. The next week, they want to work black magic. The next week, they want to slow your ass down.
That's right.
Figure it out and walk one current till you get results. Not just a little result like, oh, I got $1,000. That's bullshit results, yo. Because the real ultimate result, how Black Adept measures it, is the inner result. Because when your inner result is constantly growing, changing, transforming, it opens the doorway for all the things you desire in the physical to come through because there's no blockages or obstacles stopping you or stopping the flow of that to come to you because you now attracted to you. But if your blockages and obstacles are still there, of course you're not going to manifest what you really need. Because the internal is still in turmoil. It's still not integrated. It's still lost somewhere in space and you're not here. This is why the left-hand path, they say indulgence with restraint.
That's right.
Let me say this. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to indulge and then forget about the restraint part. Okay, because a lot of people do this and then they use that as an excuse. Well, hey, I live a path where we can indulge. Listen, fool, that's not what it means. It means if you indulge, you are selective, you're doing it for a purpose, things of that nature. You're not just saying, okay, I'm going to indulge, and then you get lost in your indulgence and lose the purpose for why you're indulgent, which is to master yourself through that indulgence. Not to just say I'm going buck wild, and then you see these people 10 days later, 20 days later, a month later, they're totally gone. Nah. Take it away, brother.
Yeah. And everything Ravana Noon just said is what makes this path different from any other path. No other path integrating the objective, the physical. Every other path talks about, stay away from that, don't be in the world. Most people that are not seeking to be successful in the objective, again, they're usually broke or they're usually failures in their everyday life. And that's why I was saying earlier, I see a lot of people part of that subjective disease. They've come from previous schools and then they want to bring it over into this. And this also causes a problem. This is not Kemetic or Egyptian. Some people can't shake being part of that whole Mickey Mouse Club thing, that I need to be part of a clique. I need to be part of, being down. I see people carry that Kemetic shit over into this. And yes, we do deal with the real hecka Kemetic aspect of black magic. We work with ancient Egypt, how it's supposed to be worked with, not all this fluffy bullshit, giving homage to the ancestors and worshiping the ancestors. And I'm going to say a supplication to Osiris. That's fucking religion. Or the Most High Ra and all this bullshit you hear them say. That goes to show you the trauma and the impact that's still in the subjective with just mundane shit or lesser doctrines, and they just bring it over into here. And everything Ravana Noon was saying is right on point, because if you're not dealing with, look, I always use this parable, and I'm not saying the Bible story of Solomon is fact, but when you read the Bible story of Solomon was given the opportunity to have whatever he wanted. He could have asked for all the riches in the world, right? And I use this parable because this is a good metaphor for us on this path. He asked for the knowledge and the wisdom, right? And then even in their Bible, it tells them in Matthew 6, verse 33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you, right? So if we come on this path, I always ask this question to a newcomer: why do you want to come on this path? If you're coming on because I want to do money magic and light candles and shit, it's not going to work because of what Ravana Noon said. You're not dealing first with your shadow self, right? The only reason why you should want to come on this path in some shape, form, or fashion is to gain knowledge of the real you. That's critical. That's key out the gate. Because if you have that, like Ravana Noon said, everything else is going to come. All the physical stuff that you're desiring. We learned that lesson coming from the backgrounds that we came from. We're saying this because we're not saying this because of shit we read. We came through all that bullshit. We could be here all night. That could be a show in itself. Talking and going back from the early mid-'80s on up to today and tell you every school of thought. We went through that, so we saw the game. And what woke us up was we were sitting around in rooms and we said, God damn, everybody's pissed fucking broke. Talking about all this, how deep and Kemetic they are. And one thing, the problem that a lot of people have in them groups, blacks, Latinos, we have back in the day itis. This is a disease that a lot of us suffer from. We want to sit around and talk about the glory days, how we used to be gods and goddesses back in the day. We've said this many times on shows together. Have you ever seen a broke pharaoh? How can you sit here and say you're a god, a goddess, a king, and a queen, but it doesn't transition into your mundane life? I don't know no broke pharaohs. Show me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you could pull something up. But if we're going to sit here and connect with the glory, let's say, of ancient Egypt, and that's the other problem, if Egypt is the only part of Africa, they don't ever connect with primitive Africa. They don't ever talk about voodoo, black magic, African witchcraft, and sorcery. Everybody acts like Egypt is the only part of Africa that's a reality. And that stuff predated that shit. Because the pre-dynastic Egyptians were those tribes that occupied the Nile prior to before there was pyramids, right? You don't hear Sa Netta and any of them conscious platforms. You don't do no shows on voodoo, African witchcraft, or sorcery. That's where our power lies. They don't want, why is nobody teaching that? One, they don't know how to teach it because they wouldn't even know where to begin. But if we relied on that power that comes from within, all this bullshit about come together at night, I've always said this, rather than have all these protests and gathering, if we had 1 million man drumming in DC, we could affect the fucking planet. That would scare the living shit out of them. If we got 1 million people together and we drummed, danced, and we did invocations to the spirits, there's nothing they could do to stop that. There's nothing they can do. Not only would it change their approach to us, it would also change the very energy and the grid of this planet. So how come nobody's thinking along the lines of tapping into our true power? Sitting around talking about how great we used to be back in the day isn't going to do nothing for us. Colin Kaepernick can bitch and moan all he wants about Jay-Z, but I guarantee you if the NFL called him tomorrow and offered him a multi-million-dollar contract, his ass would be right back playing in the NFL.
Yes, he would.
And everybody's sitting there, oh, well, you know, Jay-Z told Jermaine Dupri like a year or two ago, don't take that off with the NFL. Money talks, bullshit walks. Yep. All right? That's that slave mentality. That's that Kunte mentality. I ain't hating on Jay-Z for that. But all the kneeling, the protesting, the bowing, it's not going to do anything. Wasting your time. You got to see what these people fail to realize. You can't help everybody else and save everybody else if you can't save yourself. That's the whole point. And this is the mentality we have to have on this path. So step one should always be so you don't get trapped in that subjective disease. And let me say this, it don't mean you can't have teachers, elders, subjective experiences. That's real. It's a reality. We're not saying that it's not. What we are trying to point out in this class here is when that becomes the central focal point of your work, it's a problem. Then it becomes a problem because it's not transitioning into mundane. Like it's usually people that get so caught in their subjective, they're escaping their everyday life because they're failing. Their career is probably a mess. Their money's a mess. Their family life's tore up. Their relationships are probably horrendous. They're probably terrible parents. They probably beef with people. They're probably miserable people. So the escape is, oh, this world is just an illusion. You know, there's pie on the other side of the rainbow, all that shit. It's not a reality, people. We have to stay focused. So knowledge of self is key. Okay?
Indeed. And let me go back to the group consciousness thing, right? When myself and Beniti, we walked through a lot of the same schools. And what we realized is through all that kumbaya bullshit, come together, hold hands, let's protest, let's march, let's just love each other. There's a lot of lies there. And one of the major lies is we have to forget that conflict between people, especially melanated people, has gone back to Africa since way before we were brought here. You have rival tribes to this day in Africa that have existed there. And please do not tell me, no, they started rivaling because the white man came. That is a goddamn lie.
Prior.
Because these tribes will tell you themselves that before the white man came, that tribe was always our rival, okay? You can do the research, you can find the records where they prove and show that they were rivaling before that. So get away from this, you know, beautiful pie concept that we're all just one. They hated each other. Some of them hated each other so much back then. And that is still within your DNA, okay? And that sometimes causes conflict when you come into a group because that person may be of a rival tribe and that conflict still in your DNA and activate. Secondly, the reason why groups don't work is because you haven't dealt with your bullshit. When you get in a group, someone's going to trigger your bullshit and it's going to cause conflict in that group because you haven't dealt with your own shit. This is from years and years of us walking that. Then we stumbled across the left-hand path. And that's when we started realizing, yo, people need this more than anything else that I've ever found out there. And I'm talking about, we did all kinds of organizations, philosophy, spiritual systems. I realized it. They need this more than anything because this is one of the only paths I found out there that teaches people to master themselves. Not just tell you, okay, master yourself and then go figure it out for yourself. No, not at all. What I mean by mastering yourself is that it gives you the steps the rituals and things necessary to tap in within yourself. Not just say, master yourself. What do I mean? Well, if I know that I need to be more aggressive because I've always been docile, and because of that, I've been shafted up the butt without grease, then guess what? Then I need to use whatever I resonate, whatever archetype represents that aggression, that destructive energy that I need. I know how to work with that. Okay, there's rituals that I can work with that to activate that part of myself because it's lacking within me. Please, people, and Brother Benito alluded to this earlier, just because you work with an archetype, Kali's not there because she loves you. Okay? Cut that crap. Kali's there because you are lacking in something that is necessary for that energy, that frequency, that vibration, those attributes and characteristics to be activated within you so that you could start taking control of your life as a Kali, wearing that deific mask as a Kali, being that Kali, so that it can help you eliminate the objects, the obstacles, blockages in your life because you're too docile or too submissive to confront it. She's not there because she's going to teach you how to, utilize your yoni in 1,000 different ways so that you can take Shiva and rip his penis off. That's not why she's there. She's there. That's a small part of what she is there for. But we get caught up in that. So walking through this, we started to realize, people need this shit because if they really learn how to master themselves, then and only then would you have people who are more like-minded, who would be more godlike in themselves. That doesn't mean I'm going to worship your ass, okay? That just means you're a god in yourself. I'm a god in myself. But we could stand accordingly with more like-minded individuals. Then you could do work, okay? There should have been a drumming ritual coming together, strong voodoo, all the fucking African powers, right? And ancestral powers or whatever paths you want, utilizing the power of the drums in one major location, DC, for example, because the obelisk is there, which is also a tower of energy and frequency that emanates outward, that could change everything. But yes, people are afraid of that. They're afraid of their own powers. They're afraid of their own black magic power because they have become docile. They have become scared to the point that they no longer want to participate in things like that. But at the same time, then you have people that still can't get out of the Santeria mentality, that can't get out of the Kemetic mentality. Then they come to us and we try to give them some work to do with archetypes that they're not familiar with, okay? They're not familiar with these archetypes, but we know if they sincerely work with these archetypes, they're gonna get some results. But they find a way to still bring in what they're used to, which is usually a tradition that has become a religion in today's world, in today's present society. It's become like a religion. So they try to find a way to seek that or utilize that and tap back into that through this path. And sometimes you have to realize you gotta separate the different currents to get certain results. If they're not like energy, you can't mix them up sometimes because they're gonna conflict and cause more unrest in you than is necessary. Another thing, why is it that everything people that are seeping into this path, everything they want to do is dip everything in chocolate? Like, they want to dip everything in chocolate. Everything has to be, I got this, and this knowledge and this, and this, then you say, okay, well, brother or sister, can you refer me to any books? And every author they give you is a Caucasian author. Yeah. But the only way they justify that shit by saying, oh, well, they got that from us. How can you prove it? Like, see, a lot of times people say that because it's like a catchphrase, but you really can't prove it sometimes. You mean to tell me a world of 8 billion people today and nobody contributed to any of these spiritual systems. Nobody contributed to the occult or anything else but us. See, that's when it becomes delusional and you start losing reality. You start losing your way because everything has to be that. It's dipped in chocolate, so it sounds nice, sounds good. It's back to that same conscious mentality of we're the original, we did everything, but yet today your ass is struggling. Today you're still a servant to someone else. That's right. Why we always say that you should have an integrative existence is because if I'm in the Astral and I'm Captain Kirk, but here I'm working for somebody, you should be able to have the power if you're Captain Kirk in the Astral realm to be a manager at your job by now.
That's right.
General manager, regional manager, whatever the case. We're not saying that you're not going to work for somebody. Okay, that's not what we're saying. But we're saying is by now, if you really have that power in the Astral, you should be in a level where you are over people, you are managing people, you are in control of people. You understand? You are able to facilitate, not being subjected to other people, not following rules and regulations. See, that's the problem. You want to be Pharaoh Ruru Hotep in the Astral, but here in the physical, you're still Blake Shelton working for someone. You understand? This is a disconnect.
Big time.
Your astral realm, that should reflect on the physical, where I have now taken control over my life and I am a master over my life, where it reflects in this physical world where I'm a manager, this, that, or you own your own business or whatever the case may be. Please do not bring, and I'm going to say this because it irritates the hell out of me, do not bring that conscious cool mentality crap into this path, especially this poverty mentality. Oh, see, brother, you're caught up in the physical because, see, all you do is care about money, and I shouldn't. Let me ask you this. If you have lived in the projects, if you have lived in fucking tenements and run down shit in New York, in Hartford, in DC, or whatever cities, right? Why wouldn't you want to get out that shit?
That's right.
Why would you still say and glorify being in that shit? No, I don't hate on Jay-Z because he became a billionaire. By now, the dude's a billionaire, one of the first billionaires from hip-hop. This dude's a billionaire, but people want to hate on him because why? Because your ass can't figure out how to become successful? Because your ass want to be in Spookville and still not realize that if you're not manifesting that in the physical, whatever you do in the astral, you should be successful here. Brother Beniti and I know we came through a system, a spiritual so-called system of poverty mentality. We lived in bullshit-ass apartments with holes in the floor, rats, and all kinds of shit, but we did it all in the name of Allah.
That's right. Allahu Akbar.
Allah at this point in time, okay? But we did all that because, oh, it's about the mission. We got to sacrifice for the children. Really? How you really sacrifice for the children when you should be succeeding yourself to provide the best you can for the children? Not living in goddamn trailers. Trailers. Right. Y'all don't know this, but some of y'all do. I came, and Beniti can verify this, I lived in a fucking barn trying to be so spiritual. That's right. And the first week I was in the fucking barn, I slept on a fucking plywood. That's right. Plywood, y'all. Plywood with a damn sheet over it because I wanted to be spiritual. This for the mission mentality has to stop, y'all. This is the poison that people are starting to bring in here, and then they don't understand. Yes, I can indulge, meaning I can become financially successful. Okay? I can succeed. All of y'all should be succeeding financially, traveling the world, experiencing other cultures, seeing other parts of the United States. Some of y'all have, now I'm not saying everybody on this video, I'm talking about in general, people are going to watch the video. Some people have never even left their city. God damn, how can you not leave your city? Get out there, experience life. See, the left-hand path is about experimenting. And through experimenting, you experience life, you experience things. So in the experiment, as a scientist, create the experiences that you want to experience and have been holding off on. If you want that slice of pizza, never had it, try the damn thing. Stop looking at it. Try it. Okay? Then you can start to learn how to master it and moderate it. Because some people then get it and then they go Extremeville and then they get 20 slices and then wonder why they're sick. You're sick because your ass overdid it. Slow your ass down. We're not telling you can't eat it, but moderate it. Moderate it to the point that you got more control, right? Then we have these individuals who want to be entertained. People, especially a lot of melanated people, love to be entertained. They love people's stories. They love people's subjective realm stories. People love the goddamn extremism. Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. But then they come to us and we say, brother or sister, what is your issue? What is your problem? What is the main thing holding you back? And they're stuck. Because what? They thought we were going to give them some magical formula that was going to transform them overnight. And all of a sudden now they're a master over their world and they can go and zoom out in Spookville and never come back. Please, cut it out, people.
Yep. And a couple of things that you brought up I want to go back to. And again, everything that Ravana Noon is saying, we're saying this because we've experienced it. We've come from being in those bad situations, welfare, food stamps, living in fucked up places, living a culture of death, crime, all of that shit. We were around it constantly. This was the only path that showed us a legitimate method to literally better your life. And it was a wake-up call because, as I said earlier, and everything that Ravana Noon is saying, they bring that into here's the stupid-ass fucking emails I'll get. Let me just give you an example. People will email, I want to get initiated in Palo or Santeria. And what I found is, what most people don't understand, they don't realize the commitment, number one. When you belong to a traditional house, you got to follow the rules and regulations. You can't pick and choose what you want to do. Yeah. People ask that question and they have no knowledge of what it entails. And what I've found is people are more fascinated with the concept of being initiated in something, because I guess they want the certificate or whatever, but they don't really have the full understanding of it, all right? That shit's got to stop. This is not Ifa. This is not, we work with the Onishi, we work with the Loa, we work with the Vodun deities, the gateway deities, but we work with them from a left-hand path perspective. We don't need all that traditional shit anymore. If we would have known what we know now, and I tell people this all the time, if I'd known what I know now, I wouldn't even wasted all my time and money getting scratched in Palo, crowned in Santeria and all that shit. Because it's a money game, it's a pimp game. And all they do is suck you dry. And they suck you for as much money as they can get out of you. So we got to stop wanting and trying to chase things that really don't have anything to do with this path. Then I get other emails, can you teach me how to communicate with entertainers that have transitioned on? I don't give a fuck to communicate with let me make this clear, and there's no disrespect to Brother Panic. That's panic type shit. I don't do that type of shit. I'm not interested in communicating with entertainers because it's gonna absolutely do nothing for me. It ain't putting no money in my, I'm bringing that up because Ravana Noon said people want to be entertained with stories. And again, there's a lot of, and we've had Panic on our past radio show, a lot of great stuff he teaches, but I think some people in that realm get caught up with all the entertainment shit. And that's the problem we find with melanated people in previous schools. People want to be entertained, okay? They don't really want to learn and they don't want to do no work. I don't give two flying fucks to communicate with any entertainer or past person. That's not going to do me, and it's not going to help me with anything. So I simply told that person, you might want to check out Brother Panic or somebody that does that work. I don't do that work. I have no desire. I'm not going to get on camera and talk about for an hour how I made contact with such and such. This is what we're talking about becomes a subjective disease. Now, look, I'm sure when people are talking about these subjective experiences, I'm sure it has happened. They have an experience. That's not what we're questioning. What we're questioning is what Ravana was talking about earlier. When you co-sign on it, you start your own religion. This is what has birthed your Dr. Yorks, your Jim Jones, and your cult leaders, because they all come, first it's about information, and then it shifts from the information to being about them. There's some savior figure, they communicate with fucking aliens, they're the ones that's gonna guide you to fucking planet risk, and you know, some ship is going to come, or there's going to be some kumbaya exodus to Africa. You know what I tell motherfuckers that say they want to go back to Africa? Leave now. I'll help you with a ticket. How much money you need for the ticket? I'll buy the fucking ticket for you, because then that's one less waste of space. I ain't trying to go to back to any previous homeland. I acknowledge it. Everybody wants to acknowledge the greatness of Africa, but we have a great history right here. We have a voodoo history right here that was birthed in New Orleans and nobody talks about.
Yep.
Everybody's trying to connect with some shit that's not a reality. I'll tell you this. If you think you're going to go back to Africa and put your dashiki on and say kuda matata and all that shit, it don't work like that in Africa. And that's from people that never traveled or never been to them places, okay? If you're going to one of them countries and you're not bringing something to the economy or the table, you can't go to places like that, I'm going to go find a job. No, you better be bringing something to that economy. And if you think it's fucked up here, it's 10 times worse over there. If you ever seen a civil war in Liberia, look, if you want to see a country that's indoctrinated by Christianity and Judaism, and Islam, you think it's bad here? There's parts of Africa where people are more Christianized than they are here in the United States. That's the other thing that kills me. Everybody, go back to the mother. Then leave. What the fuck you waiting for? Why are you staying in Babylon? You can't sit here. This is the other problem. You can't sit here and support the same system you claim you're trying to destroy. Like Ravana was saying earlier, dipping shit in chocolate. That's another disease. People will sit here and talk about, the white man this and the white man that, and we as black people, black this and that. I'm talking about people in the occult. And then they're throwing out all these sources, white scientists, white authors. Well, you can't, that's an oxymoron, I'm sorry. And we're saying that because I don't give a fuck, I read anything, information's information. As long as it resonates with me, I'm reading it. I don't give a fuck if a midget wrote it. It don't even fucking matter to me. That shit is irrelevant. I ain't caught up in, but you can't sit here and talk pro-black this, pro-black that, and then you're, John Bernstein, such and such, scientist, Bill Smith. That shit makes you look so fucking stupid, it's just beyond belief. So we're saying all that to say it's not about that. It's this path is bigger and beyond that. And the sooner you realize this is not about saving the world mission. See, all the things that Ravana was talking about before, we were on, like, for the children. We thought we were literally involved in these movements back then that we were trying to save the fucking world. I'm gonna keep it real. We were in that mentality. So when we're speaking, we're not saying it just because this is our opinion. We're speaking from experience. And look, let me make this clear. We're not telling you to accept, and we're not even saying everything that we teach you should accept. You should still go investigate everything and draw your own conclusions, and you should pick and choose what resonates with you. Is everything that I teach and everything Ravana Noon teach going to resonate with you? Absolutely not, and it shouldn't, because there'd be something wrong with you if it did. You should be the one that decides, yeah, I like that. There's going to be a lot of stuff on this path you just don't want to fuck with because you don't resonate with it, and that's okay. It shows that you have knowledge of self, you're absorbing the information. You're not going to like everything on this path. But that's the beauty of it. You can do that on this path and say, I like that, I'm not really feeling, I'm not going to fuck with that. This is what's the beauty of this path. You can't do that in other schools of thought. If you do, you're considered, you're disagreeable, you're evil, you're the devil, you're a problem maker. This is the only path where you can say, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I like that, I ain't fucking with that. And that is your soul-given right. You're the sole governor and ruler of your spirituality. Nobody should dictate that to you. So just because a charismatic speaker captivates your attention, that necessarily don't mean everything that person is teaching is correct. And I've run into this problem even in occult groups. I've seen the hierarchy and the bullshit with titles. I'm priest this, I'm magister that, and it's all bullshit. You understand? That's just more mind fuckery. That don't mean nothing to me. And what we found being in all these organizations over the years, people don't learn to fill the position. They let the position fill them. They get a title, and then they go run with it. Oh, I'm priest, this and that. And we found out 9 out of 10 times we knew more than they fucking knew. We're not saying that out of arrogance. We're saying that out of confidence. I have confidence in what I do. If it comes off as arrogance, I really couldn't give a shit. Because as I said, when I turn my camera off and leave YouTube land, this shit's a memory to me. I'm focused on my life. I'm focused on making my money. I get up every day at 4 a.m. to do what the fuck I got to do. work for the company I work for, and do what I do on the side. That's not going to happen if I got up at 9, 10 o'clock every day. I have to do what I have to do because that's what needs to be done. So it's a wake-up call when you sit there and say, yeah, I could read all these books on astral traveling, meditation, astral projection. But if I can't reach into my pocket and pull out $20 for a hot sandwich, something's not. And we realized that. And that was a wake-up call. And this is why we have to start. And you always hear, and I know he talks about it all the time. It's something we've talked about when we were doing the radio show a couple years back. It's always about shadow work. You will not, something he said earlier, you will not get consistent results if you're not doing shadow work, working on self. Yeah, you might get some results here and there. Most of the people that will contact me that struggle getting results is because they're not consistent at what they do. And I always say this, you gotta remember, magic is like doing maintenance on your car. You don't change the tires, you don't change the oil, rotate them, do a tune-up, whatever. Car ain't gonna run right. So you know how many people, they'll do a money magic ritual or ritual, they'll get results and then they just stop. And then shit goes back to being fucked up and then they wanna know why. This is not no way, and I know, and I'm sure on none of his videos, and you won't ever see it on mine, I will never promote this path as a snap your finger fix all, because that's not a reality. You'll always hear me talk about you must be consistent at what you do. So if you got a situation, like he was talking about working with archetypes, people think like, oh yeah, Callie chose me, she spoke to me, I'm special. No, you activated a portion of your psyche that needed that Callie energy because that's where you're fucked up. So that's a telltale sign of where you should be working. Whatever connects with Callie there's a disconnect that you're dealing with in your life right now. So focus on that work. And if you stay at it consistently, not one time, not 2 times, not 3, you might have to do something. I mean, I find people that do candle magic don't even know how to read their candles. There's a science to that. It'll tell you, it'll dictate to you the consistency of the work you are doing and you're not doing. Communicating with the spirit, right? All these are developed by doing consistent ritualistic work. And let me say this, communication from the spirits is not always some robed figure, with the Om sound coming around them with a big ass fucking afro, doing the fucking, that appearing to you and you are the chosen. No, sometimes communication from the spirit is a clarity of thought, a presence, a feeling. Sometimes it's an overall invigorating, lifting your life in some area. See, those are the signs we don't look for when we're trying to get confirmation of results, because we have this subjective concept like some being needs to appear to me and communicate. And that's another problem. It doesn't always happen like that. So these are things we have to take into account and really put into perspective, because if we don't, this is what creates subjective disease. This is the disconnect. This is how you get trapped. And I had a dream the other day, or yesterday I heard a voice. Okay, great. But then what? My next question is, then what? It doesn't, we ain't got time in 2019 anymore. All these conscious platforms, do I really give 2 shits about the Kemetic community and debating the Black Hebrew Israelites? That's just a waste of fucking time and energy. Why even give those clowns any light? But see, all of that is for fuckery because people want to be entertained. And we're not the type of dudes that are going to be on somebody's platform bitching and moaning. Let me say this too, because somebody recently emailed me why I don't keep my comments open so people could dialogue with each other. Let me tell you why. I've never had my comments available, and I believe Ravana Noon doesn't keep his comments open either, if I'm not mistaken. I've never done that because I'm not interested in trying to validate, debate. We did that shit for years, and we went in, trust me when I tell you, we did it for years. All right, we went in and we would get into some heated debates, but we're past that shit now. Our job is just to put information out. You can love it, like it, hate it, or leave it. I couldn't give a shit. I'm not impressed with what you think you know. I don't care what type of shit you can regurgitate. There ain't nothing you're going to throw it as that we ain't heard or read somewhere. So the platforms here is to put information out. You do with it what you want. You can love it. If you don't like it, then fuck it, just leave it alone. But I'll be damned if I go on somebody else's platform, bitch, moan, and complain like a little girl, and type in a bunch of negative comments. Usually people that do that and stay stuck in that, there's something that struck a nerve within them, that it awakens something in them. If I could piss you off, I did my job. because I rattled and ignited something in you to make you think in another direction, whether it was pleasant or not. That's the purpose of this work. So we do what we do because the platforms are to put information out. That's it. I'm not interested if you love it, like it. I couldn't care if you, it's irrelevant. It's information. You do with it what you need to do with it or not. That's up to you. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yep. Let me go back to this. These keyboard warriors is what we like to call them, right? The reason we don't leave those comments open is because we don't have time to go back and forth with you about what you think, what you believe, what you feel. That's all personal shit that you got to deal with. Those are all your personal opinions or issues that you have not yet come to terms with, that you have to actually do the work to understand them. So if we said something that strikes you, upsets you, good. Because now you're thinking, which you might have not been thinking before. 2, we don't expect y'all to agree with everything we say. Please, we don't. Okay? But at the same time, if you don't like things we say, it shouldn't be a personal reason. Like, I don't like Beniti or I don't like Ravana, so I'm just not going to like them. That's a personal issue you got to wrestle with and understand. Another reason is because if you have time to debate with me and argue and I like this or don't, you ain't doing no goddamn work in your life. I'm too busy, Beniti's too busy to worry about what the fuck you think. We're too busy about our life and our growth, transformation, and success in life to worry about what anybody thinks. If you have to pay attention so much to what we're doing and saying and what are they doing in their personal life and why do you say this and why do you do this, you got issues that you haven't confronted, do the work. And the reason I do a lot of shows on Zoom and not YouTube is because I'm sick of these dudes and females, whoever, behind the keyboard that want to type all this shit, start little side dialogue, little negative shit. And I'm here face to face on Zoom. I can see you. So if there's an issue or a situation, we can confront that shit right now. Because Beniti and I are not people to run from stuff. We'll confront you right on the spot, get it done, keep it moving. I'm not going to hold on to that. I don't care. Once we confront it, we keep moving. But I'm not going to be with all this side dialogue and all this, you know, salt in the game shit and all that. It's irrelevant. Second, I get emails as well that are kind of out there. And just for example, oh, brother, why don't you, and Brother Beniti and, you know, others on the left-hand path, why don't you do a Trump ritual? Listen, witches have done these Trump rituals like 2 or 3 times already. The motherfucker's still in power, okay? So obviously your rituals are not working, and 2, they're not working because they're not supposed to work, because Trump is that master of chaos that's supposed to make you address the bullshit about yourself. But people get in their feelings, they get upset about what he's doing, but if you really listen to him, he's triggering your very issues that you should be paying attention to, okay? But you're not, because you're caught up on, oh, he's racist, he's this, he's that. I could care less.
More than an hour, so it should be all right. And we'll give us time to think of something else. And I hope you hear from him.
Hold on. All right, hold on. Let me unmute Beniti real quick. Somebody came through and I could hear them. All right. So that's another thing, okay? Please do not hit me up. I'm doing Trump rituals and all this other stuff, rituals, and please, okay? Focus on yourself, people. Focus on yourself, because whether Trump is there or not, your ass got to live day to day. Your ass got to succeed day to day. So why are you so caught up on Trump, okay? Another thing, stop spooking out the ancestors. What I mean by that is this, okay? We have this mentality, especially because a lot of people who came into the left-hand path of the occult came through African traditions, okay? We have this mentality that what? That we start to glorify the ancestors, and that has a lot to do with, because people still have Christianity in them, they still have Islam and Judaism, they start to glorify their ancestors as if they became gods when they translated into the afterlife, so to speak. If your uncle was an asshole when you were alive, most likely your uncle's still an asshole as an ancestor. Right. So you got to be cognizant of that fact, because just because they're the ancestors does not mean you should work with them. Some of them were straight assholes. Some of them did malicious things, and you trying to connect with that, and then you wonder why stuff goes off or gets messed up. Hello, pay attention to that. Just because they're your ancestor does not mean they became some god or goddess overnight. It means none of that. What it means is that you have to start addressing yourself as to why you glorify anything that's in the afterlife. Why do you think that your ancestors automatically are holy roly? Nah, sorry, stop that, because you're going to get in situations that are going to mess you up, okay? So what we're going to do here now is we're going to start taking questions because it's already 8:20. All right, so let me open this up so I can see. Oops, hold on. Let me go here. All right, let me start up here at the top with Necro Cannon. And Benita, take this call real quick because I got to go use the bathroom. Take this
right.
Necro Cannon. I'll come back.
I'll do it after you go.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, brother.
I don't necessarily have any questions. The only thing I can say is this was an awesome show and subject. A lot of people really do need to be grounded in regards to this and not going out to Fluffy Town, basically. Because a lot of people do tend to go out there like that with some of the emails that I've gotten too, and some of the things that I've experienced. It's like, dude, like something else is going on with you. You might want to relax with that, because they really take it to the extreme versus looking at, okay, this is just a conscious archetype that people have created, if you think about it, because there's no physicality, no remains, nothing as physical evidence to say that they were here. Unlike such as with dinosaurs, we can legitimately say, okay, these creatures were here because here's these bones that we're digging up. Versus some of the other entities that are about, So that's all I have to say on that. So
let me even add this to what you said about entities and things of that nature. See, another part of this work that is so important is demonic integration, your personal daemon, and the entities that you create yourself are more powerful than all these existing things that people talk about. So when you're doing demonic integration work, after shadow work, how I always try to work with people is after you've done the shadow work, and again, you can liken, there's many aspects or fragments of your personal daemon, but that is key to understanding this work, because that is the most powerful entity you can create. And this is why that's another telltale sign when you see there might be some ineffective or non-harmony between the higher self or the lower self, whatever you want to call it. Because once you do demonic integration and you really tap into the inner depths of your subconscious mind, that's when the real power begins. Now, it doesn't mean you can't use existing archetypes and entities. And just what you were talking about kind of just sparked this. And I know we didn't really touch on it because obviously we can't get into everything in one night. But that is also key. Your personal daemon, and as we know, the word daemon, it just means genius, intelligence. It was used in Greek philosophy to define the higher self. The most intellectual part of your being, right? And that word got demonized into the word demon in monotheism. We've talked about that many times in the past. So people hear the word demon or daemon and they spook out. What we're basically saying is access, that's part of accessing the real you. So when you do demonic integration work, that also helps and assists of you not getting in that trap. And like you said, Necro Cannon, you can tell by the tone of an email. I could just read an email and tell a person's not all there. They ain't playing with a full deck. You know this just by reading it because it's obvious. But these are all telltale signs, of subjective disease. You can tell.
Yeah. And just lastly, real quick on the aspect of Kali, like how you were saying, when you have that energy type to come up because you summoned it so that way you can deal with some things in your life. Like, screw all the sex part. Like, when your stuff is crumbling around you and it seems like everything around you is literally being destroyed, but then you have that focus in order to proceed through, because out of all that destruction, there's that birth. That's Kali. Like, screw the sexual aspect of it. Yeah, that's one portion. But No, not until your life has literally been thrown upside down. You're about to lose your job, your household, everything else, and you're like, okay, I need to figure out a way with this. You utilize that aspect. Okay, I'm gonna destroy this aspect of myself because this is what's causing this issue, and this is what's triggering this. That's for me within my own reality. That's how you're supposed to utilize that energy versus, let me use this for the sexual aspect and everything else, because that can easily be blocked off. Like that's nothing. But the destruction aspect in your life, when it's going on in your life, for me, that's when you know that you're actually utilizing that energy type. And I utilize a lot of Kali energy because I've had a lot of fucked up shit happen to me in my life, but it's made me to the individual that I am to the day with the knowledge that I do have, and things are constantly changing within my reality, and I understand that. So I just had to say that, and I'll go ahead and drop off.
All right, let me say this as well. I believe her name is S. Connolly. There's one thing that in one of her demonic books, she mentions that really people should pay attention to. She said many people get caught up on demonology, right? Or demonolatry, or working with demons. She said, but as you continue walking, as an addict, you continue walking as you ultimately figure out that the demon is you and always has been you and always will be you. And there is no separation between you and that demon, because essentially these are all metaphors or attributes of who you are. And that's why you resonate with a certain demon, is because that is the attribute of your true self, your higher self, your demonic self. It's important to understand that, because I still think that people get caught up on the left-hand path with archetype, and they straddle between worship and understanding that it's you. And that becomes a fine line, because you can easily go back into worship, and now you're back under religion. You're under worship and everything else, and now you're caught up as if you were still in the religious path, okay? Right. It's important to understand that, because if you don't see it, you will end up back there. And I've seen many people through the years that we've done these classes and videos and things like that, that they get lost and get back in there, and they start to literally go from worshiping self to worshiping outside of self, okay? And now all that work went for naught, basically, because now you just went back all the way to Spookville, and now you're stuck there, okay? So it's important to understand these archetypes are simply metaphors, attributes, of you and what they represent with you. And that's the most important part. As a Luciferian, what's one of the first principles? You are God, and you are the only God that is. You are the God. You are the demon. You are these things. And you should never get lost where you start going back to worship things, going back to externalizing, looking for external validity, looking for external things to grovel to offer things to, and things of that nature. You go back to really Spookville. If you offer anything, you should be offering it to your true self. Offer the greatest part of yourself to you, okay? To you. So let's remember that. Let's remember that and clearly understand that. Also, when you do this demonic integration, when you do, working with archetypes, you always got to understand when it starts to bring things up by yourself. There's 3 steps that I like to use. First, identify all of your issues, traumas, concerns, habitual patterns, whatever, that have hurt you over the years. Second, confront it. People will tell you, oh, yeah, you identify all this, but then they just tell you, well, let it go. That's bullshit, okay? Because you're back under this Buddhist mentality. I'm going to meditate it away and let it go. That doesn't always work. Most of the time, it just gets buried further deep inside you, and then it comes back out in malicious ways or absurd ways. Confront it, meaning, okay, I've identified it, now I got to confront that part of myself I refused all these years to confront or identify, okay? Once you do that, then you either destroy or devour. What I mean by destroy is destroy. If it doesn't benefit you, there's no way in hell that which you're confronting can benefit you. Eliminate it. Destroy it altogether. Now, I also say devour. What do I mean by devour? If it can benefit you, devour, absorb it within you, and transmute it to something that can benefit you down the road, okay? So these are the things that are necessary and important when you do demonic integration, when you do archetype work, to realize it's all about yourself. It's not to get caught up that you're Rata Hudi Bay. Okay, that's not what this is about. It's not to get caught up in wear namaz or namuz the next day, right, with a staff and walking around. I'm so holy, I'm great, I'm divine, because in my ritual, in my meditation, I was told I'm Ratu Hudi Bay. Really? Like, see, this is the thing that happens. If you haven't done the work, the deluded part of yourself is going to convince you of all this shit, because it's basically a way to hide your pain, your issues and bullshit, by externalizing, creating a new character as if the old character has gone away. You know how we know this? Because we did the damn shit when we walked through certain schools. We were victim of that mentality walking through certain schools and saw that shit, okay? We had the fezzes on, and we had the namuzes on. We had the fucking kufi on, and the Emma. We did all that shit. I understand it. Beniti understands from the inside out, because we did it from the inside out. We didn't just read books. This is what people have to understand. Nothing wrong with reading books. But if you're not able to apply what you're reading into your life, then it's just useless knowledge at the end of the day that makes you sound deep.
That's it.
That's it. People are wanting to sound deep, but they're not really applying it to their life. How do you know? As Beniti and myself been saying all night, because there's no reflection here in the physical, okay? There's no reflection. You should master the physical and the spiritual to be truly a master over self, okay? But the problem is people want to go to Spookville because their life is bullshit on this planet. Their life is harsh. Their life is, you know, detrimental to a lot of their existence, and so they escape by getting caught up in all of that. No, we can't do those things. That's what causes that mentality continue, and then it exasperates your victim mentality, and you forever stay in that victim mentality, like, woe is me, and all this shit is done to me, and all this. But here's the sad truth you learn on the left-hand path. Ain't nothing happened to you unless you let it. You opened the door for all this shit that happened in your life, and you created all this shit. So please cut it out and stop blaming everything external, because some way, somehow, you opened the door for that. Yeah, right. But I didn't know he was going to be abusive. Well, you may not have known he was abusive because your ass jumped into a love affair 3 months down the road. I love him. He's so great. Look, 90% chance you really don't know that motherfucker in 3 months, okay? Give it a year or two to really understand and know this person, okay? Then you'll start to see all the little shit that you may not have seen, all their abusive behavior, their controlling behavior, their obsessive behavior. Then you start saying, whoa, wait a second. I don't know if I could go further in this. Nah, but people get caught up in a love affair, and in the first 3 months, really, you're in lust. You're not in love. You're in lust. You ain't busted them nuts yet. Once you busted them nuts, you orgasm, you came. Now you start to wake up and say, why the hell is this person next to me? I can't stand this fool. You understand me? But you're in love right now, or lust, and you use it for love, and you're all caught up in the vapors, and you're like, yo, I feels this girl. And then one day you come out your job, and homegirl there standing with a damn machete because she thinks you talked to Sheila down the street. How much did you really know? Okay?
The only thing I want to add to that before you take the next question, something you just said. When things really started to change from all those previous experiences we had in the past, it can be so life-changing that when I really started to see the results, I literally had to cut off everybody I used to deal with when we were in those periods of time. Because I found in the beginning trying to hang on to some of it was stagnated energy, and you are the company you keep. If you hang around broke, unsuccessful people, you're going to become broke and unsuccessful. And I realized, and that's how life-changing this path can be. You literally might have to change your social circles completely. Things you do, methodologies. We had to go through that. I'm talking about not just a little bit here and there. It was a tumultuous, like, nah, I gotta completely do a whole makeshift over. And once I cut off all those people that were dead weight, and I stopped being involved in all that bullshit, that I used to do, that's when things really started to take off. And I realized that it was being in all those groups, organizations, and tied up in all that shit, which was holding me down, was making me unsuccessful, because I was so caught up in that, like we were talking about earlier, you know, save the world mission and the whole Kemetic thing and the conscious blah, 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 this and that. That was what was the blockage. And sometimes the blockage is right in front of your face and you can't see it. And the other thing that Ravana touched on real quick is the archetypes being metaphors and principles. Since we were talking about Kali, think about this. People always say they had a vision of Kali, but do they all look the same in a vision? Why is that? Because you give it life, you give it the image, you see it how you want to see it. Whether that's being influenced from pictures that were stamped in your subconscious mind, it's no different than Christians who see an image of the Blessed Virgin Mary all across the world. They all see a similar type of image. Why? Because they've been indoctrinated with that shit since they've been in Catholicism, and most of them have been there from a very early age. Well, we get these images and we create these things because they're stamped in our subconscious mind. So what does Kali really look like? It looks like the way you want it to look like. It looks like the way you manifest it for yourself so you can connect with it. That's confirmation that all you're doing is activating. And does it create on the surface? It's an external experience? Yes, to an extent. Can you have some type of vision, dream state where you're seeing some image of an archetype and you're communicating with it? Yes, but it still starts within the subconscious mind. It manifests, and its point of origin is here first. You're creating the experience one way or the other, whether it's appearing to be external or not. But the point is, that's why we always, in all the shows over the years, focus on the Hermetic principles of Tahuti. All is mental, mental is all, the universe is mental, or universes. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
True. All right, Demetrius, you is next.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Manny, good to see you on this platform. But, talking about, seems like Kali is the woman of the hour. So you were mentioning that. I remember years ago being in the OTO, there was a guy that was a devotee of Kali and did Kali Puja. All of our lives blew up working with that. But what was the reasoning behind that? We were all stagnant.
Right.
And introducing that energy into that stagnation cleared all that shit out. I mean, things got better like quickly.
Right.
But man, we got roasted. And like we were talking about the astral plane, I always kind of look at the astral plane kind of like the hood. You got broken down cars and shit.
That's right.
Hose and all that stuff. But there are other planes outside of just the astral, because you go out there and you do this, you do that, but bring some of that stuff back.
Right.
Anchor it down into your physical reality to bring some changes. I'm working on doing some of that with my own life, because I've been caught in that trap where you get so spiritual and lofty and all this other shit, you forget about the physical world, so everything goes to hell. So it's one of those things that drives me nuts. Is information without application. I love to have information, but I love to have application of that information.
Big time.
Do something with it.
Right.
What am I going to do with, okay, yes, Solomon, soul of a man. All right, what do I do with that?
There you go. and that's a good point. But something Necrocanon said earlier with Kali, right? And something me and Ravana have said on shows going back years ago. This path, when you work with archetypes like that, when you access that type of energy in your psyche, always be prepared. It's always going to bring the change you need. And sometimes that doesn't line up with the change you want. So sometimes we go into ritual work wanting something. Like, I want to go into ritual work. I need to improve my finances. So I've had this happen. People email, they go do work with Kali, and then all of a sudden their relationship went into chaos. That's because Kali only responds in your psyche to shit that needs to be adjusted. So you might have been doing work for money, but no, the energy of Kali says, no, we need to, in order for you to be successful with money, you got to fix this fucked up ass relationship and family issues you got. So then people get distraught. They're like, I don't understand. I went to do work for finances. My whole life is in disarray. I'm having problems at my job. I'm arguing with my husband or my wife. Why is this going on? Because that's the area. What Kali is trying to show you, that's where you need to focus. You might think, I want that BMW, but that just ain't of importance at the moment. Don't mean you can't get it down the road. But it's important to understand that, but it's good.
Yep. Clearing out the garbage.
Yep.
You know, I think that's an important energy, especially on this path. That's why I like left-hand path. It's the honesty, the brutal honesty.
Correct.
You know, you're fucked up, you're stagnant. Okay, now I need to do something for that. You know, DJ Conway wrote a book called Dancing with Dragons. 98% of that book is bullshit. The writing, the Chaos Dragon, that was worth its weight in gold. She would have cut out everything else and left that. That's just bringing that chaotic energy into that stagnation. But also, yeah, you mentioned about shadow work, and I mean, Ravana, we have all talked about this ad nauseum. It is very important. I've had people ask me questions about left-hand path, and I said, look, you're going to be doing a lot of shadow work. You need to do that, clearing your mind out. Otherwise, you're going to go nuts over here.
That's right.
You know?
And just on another note that Ravana said earlier about the Trump stuff, and let me just squash that. I meant to say that earlier real quick. Remember, a black adept he or she is always in control of their immediate environment and surroundings. Doesn't mean what's going on in the outside world doesn't have some effect. But if you have control of your immediate environment and surroundings, it doesn't affect us like it does the person who's not connected to their true self. So we don't sit around worrying about what fucking Trump is doing. But here's the thing, whether you like or hate him, and I'm not a Trump supporter, I think the guy's a buffoon, but the guy just don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Businessman, he just does not fucking care. And no matter, it amazes me how people still get ruffled. It's not going to change, people, until he's out of office. So don't even focus on it. And that's why them rituals don't work. It's comic. I saw that shit with the witches, Ravana, that you were
there was some over here doing that shit. And I told all the witches here, like, look, we don't handle our business like that. What the fuck are you doing running around chasing after this guy for? This guy's a master dayside vampire. He don't give a rat's ass what you do. You love him, he loves it. You hate him, he loves it.
Exactly.
Learn from him.
He's off of everybody's emotions. He purposely gets people emotional because keeps them in power. Because he knows now that you're emotional, that logic and reasoning is cut off. It can easily control and sway you which direction to move next. You become a zombie. You become a slave to people like that.
Anyway.
That nigga's like Emperor Palpatine. I love your Trump's attitude is like that. He just directs that shit. He's a nut.
Straight nut. All right, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Duma, you next.
Duma.
What up, Duma?
Hey, hold on. What's going on, brothers?
Chilling, brother.
It's been a great class. I can relate to a lot because I've been sleeping on those floors and all that type of stuff in stores and all that type of deal. And having all that knowledge and not really being tangible, figuring out how can I apply this to make my situation better? Because I didn't have kids when I was in the community. I still don't now, but I just found the disconnect of how could I apply the knowledge we were being taught and to make it tangible into something that would carry on. Because you saw older cats who were like 50, 60 years old still propagating out on the street. When they should have been, retired, handing their store off to somebody else, owning their store, not just leasing it or, doing all types of crazy stuff to, subvert the local government and all that other type of stuff. But I just went on a tangent. But yeah, that's about it.
You didn't go on a tangent, and I know you can connect with what we're saying because you were back there at some of those times, that we were talking about. So, hey, experience is the best teacher. That's all I got to say.
Indeed it is.
Yeah. It's, for me right now, it's just reacclimating myself to getting things right, to flipping the switch to get in those that current of constant successful moments, to be consistent. Because I see myself in inconsistent moments of stagnation. So I'm dealing with that.
Well, you'll figure it out, bro. The main thing is you realize you need to be consistent. Once you're consistent, you'll start seeing more results that are beneficial for what you need. But like Beniti said, and myself always said, it's not always the results you want. That's the key point tonight. You always gonna get results on this path, but not always the ones you want. It's usually the ones you need, and sometimes you ain't gonna like the results you need because you want this over here. You understand? Or you feel you need this over there, and you don't. So keep that in mind. All right, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, doing it.
All right, Alicia Molina, I see your hand up. We're going around the room. So when we get to you, just write down your question. So when we get back to you, you could ask that question. But we're going around the room in the order I see it, and we'll get to you soon. All right. Just make sure you write down that question. All right. Akpan Faku, you're next.
Akpan Faku, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't really have a question. I was just listening to you all talking about the shadow work, and like he was saying, Cali uprooted his life, and you know, you had me. I work with Sekhmet, and everything just fucked up after that. You know, relationship was gone, situation was gone. You know, living situation gone, but everything turned around as I continued to work.
Sure.
So I'm appreciative. You know, I'm fairly new on working this path, even though I've been on this path for a while. But as far as working rituals and things like that, I'm fairly new to that. But I was reading today in Apotheosis about, it was saying how some people don't need to actually have a physical manifestation with a ritual because everything is already inside of you anyway. And some people just have to see it. And I was like, I understand that. So I think I'm more focused on just willing things into happening. It's just, I mean, it's so many topics y'all just touched on, religion-wise and everything. I mean, it seems like I study more, like I came through Christianity and Islam, and it seems like I study more about both of those now than I ever did when I was in it. As far as trying to learn the origins and where things come from, just to know, you know, not to really use it so much, but just to know, not to throw it in people's faces and things like that. You know, I read something else about how when I take on this path that people are real defensive. I'm a painter, so I painted this salon, and me and the owner of the salon, we go back some years back when I was in church a while ago, and so she noticed I haven't been in church for years, so we were talking about something, and I just happened to throw out my ancestor altar, and she was like, what you got an altar for? Blah blah blah, and I'm like, don't you go to the altar at church? She said it like I was disrespectful or something like that. Like, what do I have an altar for? Am I in a cult or something like that? And so I just asked her about her altar at church. Don't you go to the altar? So I didn't want to go deep into Luciferianism or occult or anything. Before I could even do that, she threw out that I'm in a cult. So that led to a whole conversation. And before the conversation, so she wanted me to explain my faith or what it is I believe in, since I don't believe in Jesus and all this stuff. And so as I'm trying to tap dance around what I really want to say, because I already know what's about to happen. So before I could even do that, she went into the whole, what you in the cult and blah, blah, blah. And so I had to tell her about that cannibalism, about, you know, drinking blood and eating the cracker and all that stuff. I'm like, that's cannibalism. And so that kind of, she was mad at me after that, you know, that kind of ended the conversation. But it's just funny how people ask they want to know what you believe, but then when you start explaining it to them, and because you don't agree with how they live, then they want to challenge you, then they want to try to disrespect you, talk shit. She was throwing little wheels, like throwing baby jabs at me. That's why I had to hit her with the cannibalism, because she kept throwing baby jabs. She called my altar a shrine. After I said altar, she kept saying, "Oh, you talking about your shrine, your shrine." I'm like, "Do you go to the shrine at church?" Like, I don't know. It's crazy. It just cracks me up.
If I could, real quick, two things you said I want to back up. When you were talking about real quick about the ritual inside of you, visualizing it, remember, you do whatever you feel on this path. If that works for you, that's part of what we've been saying over the years. This is a path of self-mastery, and you lay your own path out. So everybody's going to have their own methods that work. And if that works for you, so be it. But I want to add something about the Lady of the Flame segment. And I know in our discussion and the work that you did, I've always said it's not talked about enough. She is the most vicious, violent, life-changing energy. When you access that portion of your psyche spiritually, I know people talk about Kali, and I don't downplay the energy of Kali. I know people talk about a lot of these other road clearing deities, even Santissima Muerte, which I work with regularly. But Sekhmet, I'm serious. All I can say is if you activate that energy, it really focus on what we said a few minutes ago. It's going to bring the change you need. And when I say does not care, does not sympathize with you, is not going to cater to your emotions, couldn't care less how destructive it is. That's something you need to be conscious of, when you're tapping in and you're working with Sekhmet. I know some people have and are aware of that, so I'm more or less speaking to those that may have never or deciding to work with Sekhmet. It literally is a devouring energy. She will devour the parts of yourself that need to be devoured and eliminated. And once she gets a taste, she doesn't stop. And if you work with her in the vampiric current, it's a whole nother energy because it's fierce, it's warrior-like in nature. And I've always said this from jump. The more powerful deities that are more masculine in nature are the feminine archetypes. They're more warriors, they're more relentless, and a lot of them have that tough motherly love type of energy. And again, they're not concerned with your emotions. It's more like you want to learn how to swim, boom, I'm gonna throw you in the pool, start swimming. And we need to know that. But
I think what helped me was I went in unafraid. Like I wasn't afraid of whatever might happen because I didn't know what was gonna happen. So I went in like, okay, whatever happens, happens. And some shit happened, boy, like quick too. I was like, what the fuck? But it was all to the good because I'm so thankful that shit happened because it didn't remove some things, some people, some barriers out of my life that I needed moved for me to progress. And so I'm on a whole nother path now. I'm right to Hootie Bay now.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, brother.
Right to Hootie Bay. But that was about all. I really appreciate you brothers having this. I'm glad that I tapped into this tonight.
Cool.
Let me say this real quick before you get off. There's something you said earlier, Akpan. This what you said triggered this. Always remember that all of you are the walking ritual. You're the ritual. You are the altar. You are that. There should come a point in time where eventually we all evolve to not needing any altar because you are that. You ritualizing every part of your life, meaning it's great to do it in front of an altar, but when you really know you're getting results is when a moment or situation happens and you're triggered, how you react to that trigger. Instead of being a reactionary creature, you are now more proactive. You've done the work, so you don't react the same way you did to the very things that trigger you. You now are more in control of yourself. You're not, emotionally out of order, just wild and crazy because it triggered you. You are that walking ritual. You are the altar. Every day shouldn't just be in front of your altar. The work doesn't stop in front of your altar. It should be walking with you throughout the day. It should be in your life every moment of the day. So I think sometimes we get caught up in just saying the altar, but then forget that I got to still work this even if I'm not in front of my altar. I got to be able to see that the results are manifesting here, right? In the moment, not just when I was in front of the altar. So, you know, always remember that you are that walking altar and you are ritualizing every moment of your life. Every moment is a chance for you to grow and to measure how much results you're really now benefiting from your shadow work.
Right. Thank you, brothers. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. JR, the Star Seed, you next. JR, the Star Seed, you there?
I think he went to go get a sandwich.
Yeah. I think he's okay, we'll come back to him. All right. JR, Wacky J.
Wacky J, dog.
Wacky J, are you muted on your side? Okay, now you're there. Go ahead, brother.
What's up, man? Hey,
What's
man.
going on, brother?
Say, this is a very, very powerful show, man. Appreciate y'all doing this. Yeah, man. No questions, but just wanted to share a little something, man. Man, it's a lot of transformation going on, man. Both of you been very, very inspirational, you know what I'm saying, and motivational in the work and the knowledge that you share. You know what I'm saying? So salute to both of y'all. Man, it was something I was gonna say, man. To anybody, man, doing work, man, doing on this path, man, just, you know what I'm saying, I'm just encourage you, man, just be, you know what I'm saying, be honest, be true to yourself, you know what I'm saying, be determined too, you know what I mean. Speaking from experience, man, I made rapid and major transformations in all areas of life, you know what I'm saying, integration and harmony. So just sharing that little piece, you know what I'm saying, just stay determined, man, trust yourself, and find your way to do your work. I've been having some realizations lately. I find that when I'm exercising, that's when I fuel my intent and my passions a lot. Like because like you say, you are the walking ritual. You know, you are doing this continually throughout your day. So I found that to be a natural way for me to, and it's working too. So I'm thinking about the different information and the classes and things I want to write down, things that stuck out that day, piece of information I might have learned, you know, or you know, listen to these shows and stuff. So find what resonates with you and you know, your way and you know, really trust, man, be, you know what I'm saying, be true to yourself and make that internal change, man, you know, from within and without. So that's all I wanted to say, man. And that Kali energy is real. It will turn your life upside down, but it'll be for what you need. And it's working. It's a lot of shadow work, man. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate it.
Now that you've said the internal, let me ask you, have you finally moved in the external world? Did you finally move?
Huh? Yeah, man. Hey, all the time, man. You can't have one without the other, man. You can't separate.
Because every week you was out here, you was moving, brother. You was moving. So I'm just making sure that you fit. All right, cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right. Zeta, you next.
You caught me like right in the middle of me showing.
Yeah, I see that. Looking like Lucy Collins from Funkadelic over here.
But no questions. It's a very good show. Just want to give a salute to Brother Beniti. I good seeing you tonight.
Appreciate it.
You might want to drink some water. You look like you might be choking, brother. Give me some water, brother. I don't want no incidences on the show, brother.
He's drinking an occult shake.
That's what it is, brother. That's the Astral juice. Astral juice.
But that's it. That's all I wanted to say. That I have no questions.
And when look, let me say this to everybody, man. And I know probably Ravana feels the same. But we appreciate everybody's support. We enjoy doing this. It's just something we love doing. It's something we have a passion for. So we do. I just want to make that clear. Maybe we don't say it enough, but we do appreciate everybody and everybody's support.
Yep. That's 100. All right. Thank you, Zeta. All right. Now, Rose Chaparro, you're next, but I don't think
Rose looked like she checked out for the night.
No, she's there, but the thing is, the phone
I see a
number,
toe or something. I see her big toe.
Yeah, that's her. That's her. I don't think I can click on this. Okay, there it is. I got her. Okay, let me unmute her now. All right, Rose, are you there? Can you hear me?
I see her. I see her son. I see her glasses on the top of her head.
Glasses, but I don't hear her.
She's in the shadows. I think she's muted.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me check. Okay.
No, she's not, Ravana. Maybe it's her side. Maybe it's her volume or something.
Yeah, it's her side.
We can see you. We can see you, Rose, but we can't hear you.
Maybe she's on. Maybe. What's your phone number? Well, shit. Like I'm asking her, like she could tell me. That's an idiot.
Yeah, maybe she could call in.
Maybe you're one of these phone numbers because sometimes the picture will show up, but the number and the picture.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying at the bottom. I see regular phone numbers.
All right, Rose, what I'll do is I'll come back to you. If you are one of these numbers, just let us know, okay? Because I think that's what's happening. That's why I can't hear you. So
why don't you tell her to put her finger up? Just say the first 3 numbers of the phone number.
Yeah. Give us the first 3 numbers of your area code. 6.
Oh, she's 646. Second one.
All right, cool. I got you.
Oh, 651, she said, or 646?
It looked like 646. If it's 646, give a thumbs up. 65. Yeah, okay.
651.
Okay, gotcha. All right, we're about to hit you up right now. You ready? No? How?
646. 646. 646.
Okay, cool. Got it. All right, we're about to hit you up right now. Rose, can you hear us? Rose? Hola.
That's the right number.
Okay. Can you hear us?
We can't hear you, though.
Speak up. Let's see if we can hear you.
No.
Are you muted? Check if your phone's muted, because sometimes it mutes itself.
Yeah, something's not right with her sound.
Try speaking now. If you were muted, try it. No, I see your forehead, but I don't hear anything. I see your forehead.
That's not Rose from the Bronx. Is that Rose from the Bronx?
Yeah, could be.
Okay.
All right, Rose, try this. Hang up. Oh, just shut down and then come back in. All right, and when I see you come
back to her, brother.
Yeah, do that. Just shut down and come back in, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah, something with the sound.
Yeah. All right, Smooth T. Every time I hear
Smooth T,
brother, it reminds me of nice and smooth, brother.
Smooth T, MC Smooth T.
Yes. Smooth T, you there, brother?
Evening, brothers. Evening, brothers.
Good evening.
Good show, man. It's good to see y'all back doing this thing, man. Y'all was really the first ones that I really tapped into. And I'm grateful because I kind of avoided all that, spookville shit y'all always say. And it's so easy to get caught up in someone else's subjective realm. So I really do appreciate y'all helping me create a framework for myself so that when I'm dealing with these deities and my world is turned upside down, I'm prepared for it. So no questions. I just, salute, man. For real.
Let me say this, Smooth T. It's great, whether it's us or somebody else, but give yourself a pat on the back, too, because you got to do the work. Mm-hmm. So, every time somebody tells me, I appreciate it, I do. But I always say, but don't negate the fact that you and everybody else that goes through stuff like that has to do the work. So give yourself some credit, too. Pat yourself on the back. And sometimes we don't do that enough. We don't give ourselves credit, because it's a great feeling when you can stop, reflect, and look back and see the results, but knowing that you did the work, it's I can't even describe that. That's the greatest feeling. It's greatest feeling. But I'm gonna give you, your nickname is Morris Chestnut. That's Morris Chestnut right there.
Oh shit, Morris Chestnut, brother. Damn. Hey, that's pretty dope, brother. Morris Chestnut been around for years.
Years. Longevity.
Right.
All right, you also remember this, bro. Ross salute, brother. Ross salute. No, let me stop. I'm playing with you. That's that comedic shit. Ross salute, brother. Ross salute. Always remember, you're the God. Okay, we go this all the time. You're the God that is, and as long as you always remember that, you'll always internalize the work instead of externalizing like many people do. Always remember, nothing starts or begins without you, and nothing ends until you let it end. All right? All right, brother. Appreciate that. All right, so, okay, I think this is Rose now, but the name changed to Yosa Taina.
Yeah, that's Rose. That's Rose.
All right, still, God damn it. All right, so she's 646, right? Okay, so let me do this 6 and try it now. Rose, Rose, can you hear us?
We can't hear you.
We cannot hear you, and I'm trying to wonder why.
Yeah, the extraterrestrials have zapped your line.
Yes. The little grays are in your room right now. It's zapping your mind. You can't see them behind you.
Wait, she's got sound now. Unmute her now. You might be able to. I see just a mic just popped up.
All right, can you hear us? No? See?
Something not right.
She can hear us, but we can't hear her. What's going on?
I don't know. It's crazy.
Rose, we won't try back again later on to see what's happening, because this, you should be able to talk. And make sure your phones are muted or the volume is turned up, because sometimes the call volume goes down. So
Yeah, it could be that.
Or maybe it's time to upgrade the phone. No,
got that Nokia working.
yeah, she got that old school Nokia, the Motorola, brother. Motorola. No Motorola. Okay. I see. All right, we'll try back again. Hopefully we can figure this out. All right, we'll try back. All right, let's go to Venus Love. Venus Love from she ain't in New Orleans, but she in Louisiana. Venus Love, how are ya?
Hey, how are y'all?
Good.
I'm just listening. Everything is pretty good, and I'm in alignment. And of course, I'm always doing my my shadow work. And what I've been working on lately is working with my chakras. But that's all I got. I don't have any questions tonight.
All right. Appreciate it, Venus.
Cool.
All right. So let's go to Patra Harris. Patra, are you there? Patra. Hello. Patra.
She's in New York too. It must be something in New York, man. Yeah, we hear something. Some rumblings.
Patra, can you hear us? Maybe she's one of these numbers. What else is an area code for New York? Isn't
347 is New York too.
All right, let me see that. Let me see if that's her 347. Hello, 347-940-3719. Can you hear us? Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. I can hear that noise in the background.
Yeah. Not working. Let me try Patra again. No. Patra, if you're
I can hear y'all.
Okay,
I can hear
you now.
I can hear you, yeah.
All right. Any questions?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, the whole a ritual isn't necessarily necessary. I've been getting that confirmation a lot in the last several weeks. I don't use my altar on a daily basis. There are certain rituals that I do weekly, but I've been noticing that even before I get into a ritual, you know, I put a lot of my mental and emotional energy into the situation. I'll visualize it. I've always been into the power of visualization, seeing it before it even happens, you know, and seeing it and feeling it so strongly. It's like it's there, it's already happening. And I noticed that when I do that, it sets certain things into motion. Like the next day, whatever it was that I was meditating on, something of significance or of relevance to it will come in my path. It's like it's already happening, you know, so the ritual isn't always necessary. Sometimes I'll do it just to, you know, to make it official. But yeah, I'm really feeling the truthfulness and the reality of all that, your body being the temple. And if we believe that all is mental and mental is all, then what else do you really need? The power of the mind itself is so magnificent. And sometimes I be scaring myself, like I really do gotta watch what I think. Because I could put a nigga in a cemetery behind my thoughts. So, you know, just to elaborate on that. And I've also been seeing a lot of synchronicities, things lining up, especially with numbers and people and places and conversations. Like I was just having a conversation with someone about, we were having a conversation about astrological charts. And an hour later, I'll go on YouTube and everything on my newsfeed is only about finding out your astrological chart. And I was just talking about that, and prior to me just talking about it, it wasn't even something that was on my radar like that. But I just had a heavy conversation about that, and here it is now an hour later, that's all I'm seeing. So that's just an example of what's been, you know, what I've been going through.
Right.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Somebody also mentioned how, I think it was you, Brother B, when you get serious about this way of life and start treating it like it's a lifestyle and not just a hobby,
right,
things will turn upside down in a very quick, fast, and abrupt nature.
Big time.
I've lost a boyfriend, a best friend, and a business partner in the last 5 months after Oya came and just swept me up and carried me away and said, "You coming with me."
Mm-hmm.
And at first it was a little frightening, but I was like, what you scared of though? Because this is what you asked for. Before I even had the breakup, I was already mentally putting it out there. I don't want to do this shit no more. I'm sick of this shit.
That's right.
And it was like a mantra. I kept saying it over and over every day. I don't want to do this no more. I'm ready to be out.
That's right. Let me.
So when those.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to add on one thing that you said before I forgot. I ain't mean to cut you off, but first,
okay.
let me just give a shout out to you, Rosa and Alicia. You know, for the work in New York last Saturday. So I want to shout you guys out again for that. And I know people saw the videos, but what you're talking about. Remember, everybody taps in. It's going to have their own gifts. That's the unique thing. Like I'm talking about what you were just saying a few minutes ago. You know, how you visualize. People sometimes have that skill more than others. And I've always said, there's not really any logical explanation for it. Some people just naturally tap in quicker than others. And I know on the flip side, there's some people, they bust their ass. They got to do double the work just to get something accomplished that might come easy to somebody else. So
right.
Part of that's attributed to, there is a genetic aspect of it. There are some people that are more linked in to the spirits because some of it can be passed down genealogy-wise. But usually that's just simply attributed to, and it's a great thing when you can recognize it and develop your path, because obviously that's what you want to do. When you got a skill, and this is for everybody listening, when you have a method or a skill that really works, you should definitely harness that skill. So if yours is, as you say, you visualize it, you see it, you don't, work consistently at the altar, etc., And as Ravana Noon was saying earlier, remember, those are just visuals to enhance the rituals. You know, and Wacky J was talking about doing something in the gym. I use music magic all the time when I'm in the gym. I've created playlists going back, and I started with the late 70s and worked my way up. And you could actually be on the ecliptic, the treadmill, and if I'm playing an 80s playlist, I can time travel literally and use that healing energy while I'm walking, exercising, whatever I'm doing. And that's part of the whole process, like Ravana Noon was saying and Wacky J was talking about. You got to take the ritual and the magic with you everywhere you go. So magic is not just done at your altar. And if you're using your altar once a week, once every 2 weeks, there's some people that might use it daily. I probably use it a couple times a week, maybe. That's entirely up to you. And that's the beauty of this path. Whatever works for you, do it. You don't need to gauge it. And I'm not saying that's what you were doing, Patrick, but you don't need to gauge it to what somebody else is doing. You don't need to line it up with such and such. That's the unique thing about this. But I just wanted to throw that in there before I forgot.
Right. No, definitely. Thank you for, mentioning that, because that's what I used to do. Do I got my planetary correspondences lined up correctly? And I used to get kind of stressed out over ritual as well too. And that's how I know the left-hand path was calling me, because even when I was doing those things according to the right-hand path, I used to always say, but if it's all about my intent, what difference does it make?
Right.
Ain't it about my intent, the power of my mind, how pure and raw my passion is behind it? Isn't that what you say? Yep. So you can't take it back and tell me I got to do it within a certain planetary hour or it's not going to work.
Exactly. It's all relevant.
Right. And I just want to say one more thing before I forget. So going back, and at first I was afraid when my immediate environment started looking different and feeling different, because I'm a Taurus and we like stability and we don't really care for change. We like for things, and that's why I stayed where I was for so long, because the complacency and the comfort of it, even though it wasn't fulfilling. And that's what my shadow work right now is all about.
Right.
And I try to work with energies that's the opposite of me, so I can bring in more of what I need. You can't be complacent.
Right.
You can't be complacent. You can't get lazy. You can't get comfortable.
Nope.
You got to know how to break the gate and run out the yard when it's time to break the gate and run out the yard.
That's right.
And I'm too nice sometimes. I'm too gullible. Sekhmet, Kali, and Lilith all day when I need them, just to balance it out and people don't get it twisted.
Yep.
But that's all I wanted to say, and when you put it out there, the universe will bring you what you need.
That's right.
It will.
True indeed.
It will. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Brother B, and thank you, Brother Noon. Y'all are awesome. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. All right, RH, you're next. RH, can you hear me? RH, yes. RH.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
How you doing?
That's Raven. That's, you know what that is.
How you doing? You had to be telling secrets. You had to tell. I wanted him to figure it out.
As soon as I heard her voice, I said, "Oh shit!"
Great show.
Certain people's voices you never forget, and you're one of those.
You forget my voice?
Nope, never. I will never forget that voice.
No, it's all good. Just having fun. Yep. But great show. Everything's on point. I'm glad y'all are addressing people to come up out the clouds, because as you know, that has always been my thing. I just can't stand people that like to live up there in the ethers, and they shit down here is out of whack.
Yeah.
And as everyone has said, you have to address your bullshit. You have to address yourself. You have to deal with yourself. You have to get your life in order. I have, since I've been on this path, that's what got me here, was to fix my shit. Because I just couldn't live that way anymore. And it does. When you decide to make that final decision to fix, your life do turn upside down. It does start to work to remove things and people and get you aligned correctly so that you can be where you need to be, to have that prosperity and to have that whatever the hell it is you want, right? So great show. I'm glad you guys addressed it.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that. Yes, I'll see you soon, Raven. We will see each other soon.
Oh Lord. I'm ready.
All right, until then, enjoy your evening.
Same to you.
Hey, Ottawa Shong, you're next. Okay, there you are. What's up, brother?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, how you doing? Good. Yeah, man, great show, man. I came in kind of late though on this. But yeah, I'm all about, looking at things from a grounded perspective, you know what I'm saying? And seeing things for what they are. You know what I'm saying? And I really dig how you guys put things out there like that and ground things in reality. Because I visit a bunch of different people and think and talk to people and whatnot, and everybody says a bunch of different stuff that all of it seems really subjective when you think of it, when you hear it from them, in terms of what their perspective is. But then you guys come in and you break everything down and say, okay, well the level is this, and from here we proceed. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Appreciate that, brother. You got any questions though? Give us a question. I know you gotta have one question, brother. One question. Come on now.
I guess various ways of energy increase. Ways of increasing levels of energy you're bringing in terms of I understand it's part of the shadow work and whatnot, but ways of increasing more and more energy, bringing it in, focusing it more. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Take that, Brother Beniti.
You were saying to increase your focus, and I heard you, but it was kind of low towards the end. Say it again.
Oh, okay. What I was saying was increasing the focus of the energy in you as an individual. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
You know what the simple answer to that is? A basic thing we've probably done in every path that is really, we've touched on it in the past. We haven't probably even touched on it tonight. And it's something you should do consistently, meditation. And I know we've all done that on probably, it's been a part of paths we all been part of. Because remember, meditation, it enhances the inner focus. You quiet the mind. The key to really tapping into that, when the mind is constantly wrestling and it's focusing on thought. I always talk about something called, that's part of the pep energy, right? I always talk about a pep coming in the midnight hours, from midnight to dawn. A lot of us, why our focus is off, because we don't have the pep energy centered. And what I mean by that is, all of us at some point, we lay up in the late hours of the night thinking about, what am I going to do tomorrow? Tasks I got to get done. We might stress over money, personal problems. That's when a pep comes, right? And that's what that is symbolic of, Ra's journey to the underworld. Because all of that happens from the midnight hours till dawn. And that's why magicians, adepts, we do our work from the midnight hours on. So I'm showing that because we got to still our mind. How you master the chaos or the pep energy. And if you don't still the mind, you can't listen. Here's a great ritual to do that. It's not even meditation, but some liken it to meditation. Try to do this, and it'll show mind races. Sit down and do absolutely nothing. I'm talking about no TV, no music, no candles, no incense. Don't do any meditations, mantras. You'll be surprised how doing something like that is so invigorating, because without stilling the mind, we can't live. I like to call them advisors, voices, without stilling the mind, we can't listen for the right advisors. Because when we have an influx of everyday life, things going on, we're doing ritual work, we're doing this, we're doing that, that's great.
Right.
But the only way you can get centered, that's a great question, is that and with meditation. Another simple thing I'll throw at you, I don't ever start my day, I get up in the morning, whether it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5, I do a brief meditation and a reflection on my day and what I'm going to get ready to do, and I visualize it. And then here's the most important part. At nighttime, you should also analyze your day briefly. What did you accomplish? Did you get everything done? I don't care if it was going to the grocery store. I don't care if it was running to Home Depot to get a hose. All of that systematic repetition trains the mind to focus. I'm telling you. So analyze your day and say, okay, I got up. I wanted to go to Home Depot. I needed to go take care of that. I had to run over here. Did you get everything done? That's also magic because you're mastering time. And mastering time is a form of magic, which most people don't realize. So little tips to help you. And that's a great question, to get focused, to get energy. Try that. But meditation is the most ancient form of practice. It's the greatest thing. We all should be doing that. I don't mean you got to sit for 2 hours a day. People think to meditate, you got to sit for hours a day. It could be a 5-minute meditation in the morning and a 5-minute meditation at night. Serious.
Let me also add on this real quick. Sometimes when we meditate, we lose ourselves as far as thoughts come up, distraction, things of that nature.
Right.
Breathe. Always focus on your breathing when you feel yourself really off kilter, really just not being able to focus or anything. Breathe and focus on your breathing. Right. Just to add on everything that Benita was saying, I just add on breathing exercise in the morning. For one, it helps, it helps basically flow the blood through, get rid of the old toxins, things of that nature, helps you focus, then go into your ritual, your meditations, whatever it is that you need in the morning. But breathing is essential, especially when you wake up, because you have a lot of stagnant energy in your body at that moment. So push it through. A lot of times I get questions, why do I have it, or why do I find it difficult to meditate? And I say, okay, well, what are you doing? It's simple. The one thing I got taught years ago was, whenever you feel yourself off, breathe. Just focus on your breath, and you'll see how you'll naturally start going back into a meditative state. So just always remember to breathe. And one thing I want to say, because Demetrius said this, the monkey mind bleeds energy. Always remember, the monkey mind is a distracted mind. It gets easily distracted, always jumping around, always doing things. It's hard to focus. That breath helps you focus. Right. For those who don't know, find the book that helps. A book that helps you is called Science of Breath. Very simple book, not the fucking retread book that came out years ago, but the original book. Right? Science of Breath.
What's his name? I can never say his name. Rakcham Yakaram. I can never say his name.
I can't say it either, bro. It's difficult, man.
He's a Hindu yogi, but that's good too. The breath, most definitely.
Yeah. Anything else, Sean?
No, I'm good. I'm good, man. Appreciate you, man. Both of you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. All right, let's take 323-363-3726. You're next. Can you hear me?
Hi, it's Suzette.
Suzette, what's up, dog?
Hey, how you doing?
Let me guess, you in the gym.
How you doing, Ravana?
You in the gym? Are you in the gym?
No, not on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
That's
Sunday's the day you rest for the Lord, right?
Sunday's the day I rest for the Lord.
I'm just kidding. What you got going on?
Okay, so this show is nice to hear you two together. This show has been a real good kick in the butt. My question is, I heard Ravana when you spoke about everything doesn't have to be done at the altar. The altar. So my ultimate goal is, and probably everyone on the path, their ultimate goal is to embody that altar and become that altar. But my question is, because the only altar that I have set up is an ancestor altar. So what my question is, what type of altar could I set up in terms of if I want to do kind of like general work, or if I want to charge something? And when I say charge something, not just necessarily like a protective stone or something. Let's say I make a purchase, I'm at a festival or something, and I see something nice, and not something to bring into the home as a spiritual piece, but just something I like. But you know, a lot of people touched it, and I just want to clear the energy or cleanse the energy on that. What type of setup would what would either of you suggest?
Right. Well, in systems of magic, this is important to understand. Your ancestral altar is just that. You should never use that for anything else, not for any religious purposes, because when you're working with ancestral energy, obviously it's energy that's embedded in your DNA and RNA, and that's why we were talking about earlier. You know, you don't worship them, you don't pray to them. You can't worship and pray to yourself. You are them and they are you. And you don't want to tap in or access any energy. Like, personally, I don't really deal with, like, people will talk about trickster spirits and all that shit. I don't have no issues with that, because if you know what you're doing, that usually happens to people that are tapping in or fucking around a certain way and don't know what they're doing. But you should have a working altar. That's what we would call a working altar. A working altar is just an altar in general where you can do work, whether it's cleansings. And again, we're talking about actual physical, tangible, ritualistic work. As you heard tonight, people have tapped in on a more visual level. They embody the ritual more mentally. I personally think everybody should be well harmonized in all those areas. You should practice all. That's just my opinion. I think you should have the experience of all of it. You should, whether you utilize it a lot or not, right? But you should experience a full-blown traditional ritual. You should do more modern stuff. I believe you should do workings outside in nature, and whether it's at parks, beaches, cemeteries. I just think that makes a well-rounded addict. So it's not mandatory to have an altar and use it all the time, whatever. But what you're talking about, to do work like that, cleansings, charging, you simply need to set up a working space. Now, if you're doing like black magic rituals that are tangible, that involve physical things, and you're not just doing it on a visual level, you should have the tools. And that could be simply skulls, daggers, archetypes that represent that current. I find when you're tapping into energy, and we don't banish any energy on this path, let me stress that. Yep. What you want to do is have space, though, to do work, as what you're talking. So we would just call that a working altar. Now, if you don't want to set up a full-blown magical altar, it could just be an altar where you do cleaning and charging. But I definitely wouldn't do that on my ancestral altar. I wouldn't.
Right. I don't. So with the working altar, would you just set up the elementals, like the fire, the air?
No, not necessary. No.
What would go on a working altar? What type of items would you place there?
Right. I would just tell you this. When altar that I do magic at, to me, you need a altar tile, which is a pentagram. I have various images of the adversary and deities that tie into the magical current, like Anpu, Sekhmet, Set, Lucifer. I have Lilith. You can decorate that any way you want. There is no right or wrong way. You should have a dagger or a ritual knife. Obviously, I like to use a Tibetan bell. I don't like to use the traditional Wiccan bell shit. To open gates and do invocations. Those are the standard, a skull. Those are the standard elementals, because remember, all the tools that you use on the altar is just to enhance the imagery. You just connect with it. It just increases the vibration, the frequency, and the energy of the ritual. You're not depending on them. You're the one charging them with your power. They don't have any special power outside yourself. You're utilizing that to unlock deeper portions of the energy that's in your psyche. That's it. So when you look at the skull, when I look at, and I have my altar geometrically set up a certain way, like I'll have Set, I have the scarab beetle, which represents Kepra at his feet, the pentagram with the point aligned with him, and then in front of it, I'll have a skull, or to the right of it, depending on, but it means something to me. Just by looking at it, it activates a certain level of thought. So you're going to find altars, they transition from what's in front of you to in here, because it enhances that whole process. So long story short, There is no right or wrong way to set it up. I would just suggest to somebody, if they were asking me questions of setting up a working altar, just include your basic elements and necessities. And then whatever, go with your intuition. You might, some crazy, whatever your mind, you're vibrating with, resonated. Don't get caught in any pattern that has to be done like this, because it doesn't. You be creative, but just have a working space if you're going to do stuff like that. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. All right. Let's try Diosa Taina Atabe again. Can you hear us?
Rosa!
Bro. Can you hear? Can we hear you? All right. Say something. No? All right. I think you're going to have to go into settings. Go into the settings. I forgot how to get in there, but you go into settings. In there, it'll tell you how to activate your mic, because your mic might not be activated on your phone. So you might have, you might have to go into settings to check if your mic is on, because sometimes there's an option to just listen, and there's an option to listen and use your mic. So go into settings and see, and I'll try you one last time, but we'll be back. All right. All right. So 651-373-9522. You're next. Greetings.
Greetings. This is Lady Mystic.
Hey.
How's it going?
Going on, dog.
I am so glad to hear you two together again. It just reminds me of Universal Minds. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I remember doing research and being awoke, and I just cried because I couldn't believe that I had been so brainwashed and lied to. And I was like in disarray because I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And I just started to search, and then I came across Universal Minds, and it was great because like-minded individuals that I could listen to and then begin to learn more and do my own research. So thank you so much. I really appreciate what you share. Week in, year in and out, I really appreciate it. So thank you both.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
I think right now has been the most difficult time in my life with things that I'm going through. But I tell you what, I'm trusting in myself, and I'm doing the work, and I'm making things happen, and I'm working through, different issues. And it's nice to be able to trust in myself, and I'm not in some box. I really enjoy the path that I'm on. I really, really do. One question I do have is, I really am gravitating to Tiamat and learning more about Tiamat, but in trying to find information and just researching different things, I don't see a lot out there about Tiamat, and I was wondering if there's any books or references or anything that one of you could give
me. Let me throw you one. The Grimoire of Tiamat by Mason, but with caution. With caution. You'll see why when you read it. And I'd suggest that to anybody. But let me say this, and I'm not saying this in no spooky way or be that nobody's equipped to work with it. Read it. I would suggest you read through the whole tome completely before you even carry out the work. It's, to me, that you can find stuff on Tiamat. Bal Cadman has a book on Tiamat. You might want to look at Leviathan and Tiamat. A little bit more basic, but if you're looking for some intense work with Tiamat, again, with the disclaimer to really read it thoroughly before you do the work, check out that book. Ravana Noon might have one that he might have read, but I would throw those two out there to you.
That's the main book I would say is the Grimoire of Tiamat. That's one of the most powerful. And if you can see in the chat room, I'm not sure if you can, but Brother Demetrius has a link to a PDF copy of Gomorrah Tiamat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so in case.
Yeah, I would recommend that to everybody. Check it out. If you put it in there, check it out.
But like Brother Beniti said, just don't just jump into doing rituals. Read it, study it before you jump into it, because it's not lightweight work. It's heavy work. And you want to make sure you're ready before you engage in it.
Most definitely.
Okay, absolutely. And then I just had a comment. One thing I noticed for me, and I do different types of meditation, I'm sure everyone does, but like sometimes I like to dance and in meditation, listen to music, walking, and then I found lately that when I'm just like in the morning, I like to complete a puzzle, and that allows me to just go. I've gone into when I was a child and just different things, and you know, so there's lots of different types of meditations that you can do, and you just have to find, you know, what works and what is helping you to get to where you need to get to. So,
no, that's
anyway,
that's a cool
thank you.
thing. Yep, that's a cool thing to do the puzzle thing. Yeah, I mean, magic, man, can be. It's so vast, and even when we were talking earlier with Ado Ashan, even folk concentration rituals help that inner focus. You could use a sigil, a candle, and a lot of schools of thought have the basic practice of focusing on the object, capturing the image in your mind, then closing your eyes and still seeing the object. Yep. That's always people that have problems with meditating. It's always good to do something like that to build you up to meditation. If you struggle with meditation, it's because your concentration is fucked up. That's all. Look, let's be real. How many of us meditate and all of a sudden we're thinking about chicken, fried chicken wings? Crazy shit just pops into your head. Random shit out of nowhere. Like, why the fuck am I thinking about chicken wings? Because when the mind is idle and it's not still, like I said earlier, some of you think about sex when you're meditating. It just randomly pops in your mind. This is real. So what you can do to block that, well, not block it out, ignore it that it's not there, but keep it controlled, is do object concentration. You can do it with a sigil. Shit, you can do it with a pen. Capture the object in your mind, and once you've focused on it and you feel like you've got a good visual of it, close your eyes and still focus on seeing the object while your eyes are closed. That's a good basic ritual to do. Not even a ritual, that's an exercise.
Let me also add on to that. For those of y'all who took the necromancy class I did, if y'all remember the object to use a crystal or stone to just focus on that for 2 minutes. Some of y'all find it difficult to just focus on an object for 2 minutes. Others were able to exceed that. That just shows you where you're at as far as concentration, which is the gateway to meditation. So that is a exercise to do every day if you have trouble concentrating and then meditating. 2 minutes. Just see how long you can stare at an object for 2 minutes without getting distracted. Now, don't make it easy on yourself and put the object there and then have a blank background. Make it hard on yourself. Put stuff around the object, stuff like that, and just focus on the object. If you can focus on the object and there's still stuff around there for 2 minutes, then you're working it. But if you make it easy and just put the object and say, oh, look, I did it. Well, shit, you had no distractions. Challenge yourself. Remember, left-hand path is challenge yourself. This is one of the key precepts that we live by, is challenging yourself. So concentrate on an object, but make it a little harder by putting other objects there and see if you can last 2 minutes.
Block it out. Yep.
Use a stopwatch, do whatever you have to do to time it, but try this and you'll see. And eventually, if you can't do it the first time, keep practicing until you can exceed 2 minutes. All right? Anything else, Lady Mystic?
Excellent. Just one more thing.
Yes.
Those of you who are mothers, I think it's really important that we assist our children, to meditate. I'm working with my son with meditation, and it's really helpful because, with computers and TV and this and that, it's really good for them to sit down and just to meditate. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, so let's see. Let's go to 347. Wait, did we do that one? 347-940-3719. Let's check one more time. I'm just making sure. Hello, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Well, that's weird. This is Rose.
Oh, now it works.
This is weird.
Yeah, what you want
I
here?
still see my videos. This is weird.
So
okay,
your number...
hi everyone. Hi, Brother Beniti.
Hey, what's going on, Rose?
Hello, Ravana. I don't have a question. I'm just this is my first time on Zoom, but I've been watching you guys videos for quite a while, like maybe about 8 months now.
Cool.
And I was led to this path because originally I've grown up, you know, with my family to the 21 divisions and stuff like that, but I wasn't like really into it. But you know, that's like very, I know of it, and through my mother's side.
Okay.
And I had a really hard time last year where it was Setmet that you know, that I was attracted to, and I started reading books, and like I had a really, really, really hard time. And I started, it was a very angry time for me. So that led me to start, you know, dealing with myself. And I started listening to the first things that I started, YouTube that I started listening to were actually Bobby Hemmett. Then from there, Brother Panic, Brother Valentine, and then I hit on you, Ravana, and then through you, Beniti. And I've been like reading all the books that you guys put up, looking at every video that I could. I mean, I couldn't get enough, and I still can't. And I've always had my altar, and I've been meditating since the 90s. But you know, I've had 4 children, so I was raising them on my own. So I was in and out a lot. But I went off the path a little bit. I had to deal with the, you know, things in life, and now I'm like, what happened to me last year was really hard, and it opened the door for me that I hadn't expected. So I'm here now, and I'm ready to work. I've been working, and I've seen a lot of stuff. I'm doing a lot of shadow work on myself, and it's like incredible. My eyes and myself are even opened up more, and I'm feeling things. I reopened things from my childhood, and I'm remembering things from my childhood because I used to dream with like Goetia. I used to dream with stuff like that from like 5 years old and things like that. And it's like I believe this is where I'm supposed to be. I was meant to work on this.
Right.
So I thank you very much.
Yeah.
For everything that you guys put out.
The most important thing you said, Rose, is you're here now. That's the most important thing. It's good that you recognize them. All that. I wish we could have got Alicia on here. And again, I want to thank you. And I know you're close friends with Alicia. I just wanted to clown her. She's like a walking witch with that bag. Whatever you asked, she had it in the bag. And I just want to add, I know I talked about that, you know, on one of my last shows. It was just amazing when all the stuff we're talking about, when you're linked in with the energy and the spirit, what we did last Saturday in the Bronx, it wasn't planned. It's just like everybody was on the same wavelength and frequency, and everything just manifested in harmony the way it was supposed to. I wish we could have got her on here to clown her. But I wanted to ask you.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and I do appreciate you guys. Say it again. I know I've said it a bunch of times, and you'll probably hear me keep saying it. And obviously, we're going to do future stuff in New York. But let me ask you this. When you were in the 21s, did you do a lot of work with Anaisa and San Miguel?
Yeah, I'm actually, Candelo is my,
okay,
the one that's closest to me.
Okay. Because you know Anaisa is a very similar energy like Sekhmet. It's very...
yes. Oh, my God, yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, I mean, just a thought when you were describing Sekhmet, you know, even though you, like you say, you didn't fully gravitate towards to that system, I think maybe you just tapped into that frequency and energy same way, because it is aggressive. So I was just curious.
Yes, and Erzuli too.
Okay.
Erzuli also. Very, very tumultuous.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Appreciate that.
All right, Rose. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, you too. All right, so that was the last caller of the evening. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate all the questions, comments. Always remember, do the work, and you are the only God that is. Do the work, the only God that is. You could give us credit, but all we do is just spark the information. What you do with it determines where you go.
That's it.
Beniti, give your closing statement and your contact information.
Sure. Well, yeah, I appreciate this. It was good doing this, and we had talked. We're going to try to get together a little more often and try to do stuff like this. You know, obviously, with the YouTube and these platforms, it's just been more productive. You know, the show, when we were doing it, we were doing a lot at that time, and I know Ravana Noon's now, you know, he's developing his platform, I've been doing mine, but we could still come together. You know, so we were talking about trying to get together a little more often. You know, I appreciate it. I enjoy this. Like I said, I just love to do this. I know you guys are on the channel. I don't really got a primordial chaos. I know we're pretty much familiar with that. Email, if you got to email me, it's in the description box of all the videos. It's khnum19@gmail.com. And that's pretty much it. Appreciate everybody. And again, I don't want to negate. We do appreciate the support, because, you know, without you guys, we wouldn't be a point of doing the show, right? We need people to do a show. Not because we're trying to we used to say this on the old shows. We're not trying to convert nobody. I want to make that clear. We ain't trying to get you to join anything. We used to open the old shows with this. We're not trying to, you know, you're not becoming part of something that you're obligated to. All this is a forum to share and exchange information. That's it.
Yep. Appreciate that, brother. All right, y'all know my contact information, darkcultist99outlook.com or the Black Serpent Clan @gmail.com. Me and Brother Benito will try to get together again, do a class. We're going to do several classes. One of them probably be on hip-hop. It's going to be good. We're going to do one on that. We're going to do more, probably bringing up more of the draconian current, how to work with it, how to apply it, and then different things like that. All right? So just stay tuned. Email us for anything. All the newcomers that came here today, we really appreciate y'all showing up. You know, keep checking out Brother Beniti and myself on our different platforms, and we're going to do this more often together. All right?
All right.
Then, Beniti, I'm going to email you a copy of this.
Yeah, and I'll post it.
Yeah, I'll email you a copy of this. Once we're done, it takes like 20 minutes, and I'll send it to you, all right?
All right.
All right, y'all.
All right, everybody.